for new crypto projects, what advice would you have as far as how to approach, doing it right as far as security, so not getting yourself declared as security, for example, to not run into, we were talking about earlier about red flag type stuff for different places. What would you say is a good approach to take for crypto projects to make sure you don't get into trouble, and make sure everything's kosher with everything going on out there?
Yeah, sure. So it really depends on the jurisdiction that you're operating in and the jurisdiction that your users are operating in. Just because you're based in Indonesia, say, doesn't mean that your product can't potentially defraud or damage a person in the United States, and you could have American regulators go after you. So you're not necessarily safe because you are physically located in a place that's geographically distributed from the US if you have American users, right? And this is the case with every jurisdiction. So, you really need to know the securities law of the places where your users are going to be. And we're an American-based company, and we are going to great lengths to engage securities attorneys in the early stages of this. And we had a good 2-hour meeting with our securities lawyers today, explaining the things that we're building, explaining how they relate to existing tools so that there could be precedent for, some sort of potential litigation in the future, right? Our securities attorneys, in order to give us good advice, need to understand existing products in the marketplace very, very well. And so these people are hard to find. So we were explaining today to our attorneys how Hex worked and the fact that it's a smart contract, and had to get through these barriers where we're explaining new concepts to them that are Web3 concepts, right? Because even though they're securities attorneys who have worked with the SEC or fought cases with the SEC in the past, that doesn't mean they necessarily know how modern Web3 tools are built. So the first thing I would say is, get a securities attorney and make sure they understand existing products that are in the marketplace, so that if you were ever to be the subject of an investigation, they could reference existing products and why you're like them. And if they haven't taken action against those previous products, well, you would have a very good case to say, hey, we're replicating a feature set, or we're building with the same ethos, and we really want you to have a look at these projects because you haven't deemed any enforcement needed to come down upon them. And the second thing I would say is, if you have a good securities attorney, or you can get one in the US, try and get that no action letter. Go and be upfront with securities regulators, because they're so used to chasing people that when you go and be upfront with them and tell them what you're doing, you might find that their feedback is you need to tweak a couple of things in order to not be a security. And now that doesn't necessarily mean you're not subject to the rules and restrictions or regulations of another agency. It just means that, hey, okay, you're not a security, and we're likely not going to take action against you as long as you build the product that you say you're going to build. But you still have to go outside and make sure that you have money transmitter licenses in each state if you're going to sell an asset, or that you need to be registered with FINRA and supplying reports on potentially money laundering activity and things like this. There are multiple layers that you need to go through, and just being not a security does not necessarily mean that you're safe. So you have to be very, very diligent, and a securities attorney should be able to help you with that.